So I talk a lot about social. I talk a lot about search. I talked about Performance Max in a couple of videos. There's other things out there for paid marketing that you can do that make an impact, and they're not as heavily, like the click isn't the primary focus. It's more of a demand generation than it is a demand capture. Search is a demand capture, social demand generation, 101 stuff. Anyway, so, but with regards to display, and I'll talk about streaming video, AOTT, all that kind of stuff maybe in the next video. But for this one, I wanted to talk a little bit about display and some of the things that I've found when using a display campaign. So there's a couple of different types of display campaigns that we use at my company, Amazon Display and DV360. So I thought going in that using Amazon Display was probably the better option because they have the benefit of Amazon Garage, right? And they can serve you up ads that actually pretty much, you're probably either in the market for, looking for, or close to looking for, or close to what you have, or, things like that. I thought that was the benefit of using Amazon Display. But what I'm finding and they may use that, and that's great. But what I'm finding is when I'm doing a prospecting campaign, Amazon Display works. I think Amazon Display works a little bit better. And I'll explain that in a second. And then when I'm doing a retargeting campaign, I find that DV360 works a little bit better. So Amazon Display on a branding campaign. So the broad base, we're a great dealership. We have a great inventory. Our certified pre-owned cars have all these benefits. Those type of broad-based campaigns on Amazon Display, they tend to capture more. And I'm not going to explain to you the psychology or the why. I'm just going to tell you what the metrics told me. They perform better. They capture more clicks. They capture more interest. They get more views. The CPM cost becomes low. Not CPM, sorry. The cost per click is low. So those kinds of things matter to me because I'm looking at this from the aspect of, like, this were my money. If this were my store, how would I handle that? But on the other side of the spectrum, the DV360 on a retargeting campaign works much, much better when you have a specific offer in there. So there's two different ways that you can have specific offers loaded in there. So, and I'm testing both of these ways to see one works better. So what I've started doing is manually loading offers into display, or asking my team to. I'm not doing it. I have a absolutely stellar support team that does all this stuff, which I can't be more thankful for. Anyway, so when I get a manually loaded offer in there for a specific vehicle, then I tend to get a lot more interaction. I tend to get a lot more clicks. I get a lot more engagement. I mean, it goes up exponentially when I manually put a specific offer into DV360, a retargeting campaign. But you can also run it the other way, and I have not fully tested this yet. I'm in the current process of testing this now. You can run it through a dynamics type of campaign. What that means is it actually, once you load up banner ads or specials onto your website, the campaign will automatically pick those up and then repurpose those for a display campaign on your behalf. We'll see if it works, like TBD. But the manually loaded offers, when I kind of made that realization, I mean, it was kind of a dull moment. Of course, people don't just want to see, hey, we're a great dealership, unless they're further up in the shopping funnel. But I'm trying to hit people when they're further down the shopping funnel and we're actually, actively in the market within 2 weeks, maybe a month of making their purchase. That's where I get the clicks. So I found the retargeting campaign with the manually added offer was the best way to engage that. Done. What I didn't suspect either was with regards to service offers. What exactly would be the best way to load up service offers? And what I'm finding is Amazon Display works really well for service offers. So it's really kind of it's not one that dominates over another one, but it's really kind of, what do you want it to do? You know what I mean? That's kind of the what I'm trying to get here, the message is, do you want to run a service offer? I would recommend Amazon Display. I get a lot higher click-through rate. I get a lot higher engagement. I get a lot higher just metrics, a bang for my buck, whatever you want to call it, for a service offer when I use Amazon Display. But if you're looking specifically at a particular unit that you need some demand generation on, I would highly recommend a retargeting campaign through DV360. Now, get specific. What do I mean by that? Don't arbitrarily put, I also found, this is another aspect of it. I also found that what doesn't work is just putting an arbitrary, $10,000 off, $15,000 off. That doesn't really get a whole lot of, it gets a lot of eyeballs, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't get a whole lot of clicks. And I know display, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not counting on display to get me clicks. Well, I kind of want it to get me more clicks. Like, that's where I want to stretch my clients' dollars as far as I can and get the maximum quality that I can for it. So I'm personally, this is my personal experience with a variety of different manufacturers. I just don't find that $10,000 off or $5,000 off or whatever your offer is, I don't find that works anywhere near as well as a lease payment, as a finance rate, that kind of stuff. I find that those work infinitely better. Now, I will say that when I'm talking about highline models, Acura, Genesis, and so on and so forth is the ones that I work with right now. I find those work extremely well on DV360 with a retargeting campaign and a specific lease offer. That seems to be the triple threat there that works exceedingly well for those particular brands. Now, when I'm talking CDJR, when I'm talking Ford, when I'm talking about domestic brands, Chevy, those seem to work exceedingly well. So I'm going to back up a little bit. So I said before, cash offer doesn't work on those brands, on those highline brands. Lease offer works. And I mean, that's just kind of, again, common sense. That's what those shoppers are. They're lease shoppers, right? Now, when you go to domestics and you put a lease offer in, it's not quite the engagement you want to get. But what does actually garner clicks is the interest rate. That does. And a compelling offer. Let me say that. So if you have $2,000 off the vehicle, that is not compelling. I wouldn't put that out there. I would put that out there combined with a really good rate. Like if it was $2,000 off and 1.9%, yeah, I would put that out there for sure. But what I'm finding is the rate actually makes the difference. I've got ads running right now for just $2,000 off on one domestic brand, and I've got ads out there right now for $2,000 off plus 1.9% financing for 60 months. The 1.9% financing for 60 months plus the $2,000 off is double the amount of interest, the clicks, as the one that just has the $2,000 off. So, and I know that seems like that's a dumb moment, but I can't stress enough how many times I encounter a client who just doesn't, and I get it, because I'm guilty of the same thing. I think everybody buys a car like we do. Not everybody buys a car like we do, right? So trying to look outside the box and seeing what the customers are looking at, what the customer interest is, that's where that Pure Insights tool from my company, from Pure Cars, works exceedingly well. Because when you can look at what exactly the brand, or the model within the brand that is generating the most amount of interest, and then working collaboratively with my clients, I can then, hey, does that have a good lease program right now? No? Okay, what's the interest rate? Okay, then we need to move to another model, because that's not going to garner a click. That's not going to garner enough interest. So anyway, that's all I got for this week. Happy selling.